Congratulations on your film.
Thank you.
How's it going?
It's going really well. I'm a bit jet lagged.
Yeah.
Because I flew in from London yesterday to Sydney, and here I am in Melbourne. But it's great. It's going really well. I've watched it with audiences in 5 continents, and the responses everywhere have been quite consistent, and it seems to be a movie that moves people. I think they go on a journey, a quite extraordinary journey, and we've got some great actors in it, and we've got Chiwetel Ejiofor, who was nominated for an Oscar for 12 Years a Slave. We've got Thandie, who is incredible in it. We've got Annie Kanoni-Rose, who was in Dreamgirls. She's amazing.
Now, this film also gives voice to events in Nigeria that I imagine not a lot of people would know about.
Right.
Do you feel that that is part of the role of the film, to actually bring attention to something about Nigeria that people might not know about?
Absolutely. I mean, the movie starts in 1960 and ends in 1970. Between 1967 and 1970, we had a war in Nigeria, which is better known internationally as the Biafran War. And the Biafran War happened at exactly the same time as Vietnam. So the generation actually who lived through that period in the West would have been aware of it, but Vietnam was what was engaging people, a lot of people at the time. It was a war, a civil war, in which millions of people died, and for many people this is the first time they're hearing about it. But the movie is also about love. It's about people basically surviving really extraordinary events just through sheer tenacity and the power of love. That sounds like a cliche, but it's true.
Now, you are a renowned novelist and playwright, and you've done some poetry. This is your first film.
It is.
Why have you chosen film as your medium of choice to tell this story?
Well, I love cinema. I absolutely love cinema. I have directed a few short films in the past, and I've had about 25 years experience with directing actors on the stage in theatre. But I've loved the cinema for a long time. My first screenplay was directed in 1994, which is about 20 years ago, by Danny Boyle. This was before he went on to direct movies like Shallow Grave, Trainspotting, Slumdog Millionaire. And I think I caught the bug after I worked with Danny.
But what is it about the medium of film that has it over writing a book or writing a play? Presumably you could have adapted this for the stage, or you could have written a novel based on these events, but you have chosen film. Why? What's the advantage?
Well, I don't. There's no advantage except that if I had done it as a play, theatre is actually a very, very expensive medium. If you think, if you're going to take a play from one town to the other, it's very expensive. Cinema is expensive too, but once you've done it, it can travel all over the world on a DVD. It just travels infinitely easier. And this is a story that I wanted to reach out to as many people as possible, and I thought that the best way to do that, the most efficient way, was film.
Now, you are a very intelligent, sensible, sensitive young man, an artist. Why would you do something so insane as to become a filmmaker?
What I love about making films is actually the nature of it, which is that you have to collaborate. You're talking on this film. I worked with maybe a couple of thousand people, crew, and then we had in front of a camera. It's an epic film. We have thousands of people also working as extras. I love there's a buzz. There's an adrenaline that you get from it. You either like it or you don't, and I love it. It's but as you say, it's actually pretty crazy. But I love it.
Are you going to make more films?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as we all know, life pivots on small events. Well, not small events, but certain moments in life. I understand that your life was changed by two events. One was a stabbing, and another one was seeing Look Back in Anger on television. Can you tell me just briefly how each of those two events changed your life?
Well, you know, the story about being stabbed, being knifed in the back was, that happened when I was about 16, and it was just, what it did was it just gave me pause for thought. I had to focus, I had to refocus and decide, okay, what do you really want to do with your life? And
you were a scab, you were working for some gambling organisation in Nigeria, some underground illegal
it was illegal in that part of Nigeria, but that actually had to do with the fact that in that part of Nigeria, Sharia law was in place. But the fact was that we were dealing with so much money that every week we had to employ the police to protect us. So, I mean, that's a fact. But after I got knifed in the back, that had nothing to do with my work. It was just, but I decided to quit the job, and I started working on my first novel, picking my first novel. And
fair to say that if that hadn't have happened, you would not have become a writer?
I was making so much money. I mean, I was already writing when I've been writing since before I was 10 years old. But I got this job and I was making so much money. I think I just slightly lost my way, and the stabbing basically made me rethink.
Just very quickly, was it a fight? Was it a mugging? Was it?
No, it was. This was. I mean, most young people wouldn't know anything about this. But in those days, there was a craze in the part of Nigeria where I was born for a dance called electric. You kind of. I'm a terrible dancer. I'm not even going to try and demonstrate it. But there was a dance competition, and the guy who knifed me was just someone who belonged to a team of sore losers, and I just happened to be the nearest person to him.
And last question, the John Osborne play, Look Back in Anger, how did that affect your life? You saw it on TV or something, didn't you?
I saw it on TV. It was on, in black and white. It was just I had never encountered such a character before, and it just made a big impression on me. And it didn't. I wouldn't say that it was what made me want to be a writer, but it made writing incredibly attractive.